So this is my contest entry and support video for BushcraftMyWay. He's got a great contest up in that he's giving away one of his handmade knives. Okay, first off, this is one of his. This is his knife that he's made for me. I will be going over what I like in a knife and all that stuff in a little bit. But I can tell you from first-hand experience of his craftsmanship that the person that gets the knife will be a very, very, very lucky individual. I can tell you that, because his quality is top-notch. It's just, I mean, it's beyond top-notch. The best knife I have ever held, let alone owned, is this one right here. So yeah, his level of quality is just awesome. Alright, that being said, one of the main purposes for this knife in particular is as a fighting knife. Of course I can use it for bushcraft and survival and all that stuff, but it's as much a survival knife as it is a fighting knife. And if you understand fighting and how to survive and how to defend yourself, survival is defending yourself, and defending yourself is a survival situation. So you need to know both of how to use your environment to survive, but you also need to know how to fight to survive and how to do that effectively. Okay, so for that I'm just going to go through a very basic form, and then we'll kind of jazz it up into what this knife is actually designed for as a backup to a tomahawk. But we'll get into that in just a second. So we'll just go into the basic stance. Basically, right foot forward, right, and your knife in front. Now there are some styles that teach the knife in back. We're not going into that yet. That will come in time if you train, but at this point I'm just going to give you a basic tutorial. Alright, so you want your blade in front of you so that anything that comes at you, you can cut and move out of the way. Okay, it's all about cutting and moving. Alright, but I'm going to give you a basic five count form with the knife just to start off with, so that you understand how this can be used. So you're going to slash this way, slash this way, come across here, the belly here, come across the belly here, and then stab to the center. Okay, so once again, slashing here, slashing here, slashing to the belly, slashing to the belly, and then a stab here. Okay, so when you speed that up, it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so slashing here, slashing here, slashing here, slashing here, and here. Okay, now why do I always have my left hand in contact with my weapon arm? This is to ensure that my arm is in no way in the way of my blade. Okay, I don't want to be doing this. Okay, this bad. Alright, so we want to be able to do this. Okay, notice how I always have my left hand close to my center, and it's right here. If for some chance my slash misses and there's a threat coming in anywhere else, I can use this hand to block, parry, whatever. Okay, or even strike with to open my blade to counter. Okay, but either way I want this left hand out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to have it here or close to my core. Okay, so again, 1, and now when I come back, notice I'm using a circular motion to do that, so that it's boom. This way I'm gaining power here and I'm not losing it. I'm just continuing the power cycle. Okay, that's the next thing about this. So it's 1. Okay, now when it comes back up, I'm adding power. Not only am I keeping my left hand out of the way using this, but I'm also adding power using my left hand to drive it through. Okay, so it's literally a 1, 2 type motion. Now, once again, I'm just modifying circular motion here, coming across here, and now watch. I'm still using a circular motion to turn my hand over. 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, once again, I'm keeping my left hand close to my center. Okay, reason for that. Okay, let's look at a practical application. So we've gone here, 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 here. Okay, this is pretty self-explanatory. Why am I keeping my left here and nowhere else when I'm coming in for the stab? Because if there's an attack coming, I want to be able to block or parry it with my left hand and then stab to the center here. Okay? Alright, so enough of that. Let's go ahead and jazz it up a little bit. Alright, so I've got the tomahawk, right? Alright, so for this, we're going to switch into a different form. It's called Heaven 6. Heaven 6 is a good form for double wielding, or for having a weapon in each hand. The idea is that it teaches you to be able to cross and uncross your arms to attack with. For example, there's the first attack, the second attack, the third attack. The first attack, the second attack, the third attack. Okay? So it really allows you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? See how that opens you up? Now, if I wanted to, I can even go further. I can start fighting with my tomahawk this way and keeping my knife in reserve for the sneaky shot here. And likewise, I can be fighting with my knife here, keeping my hawk back here for the sneaky shot here. Okay? There's a lot more to this, but I just wanted to give you a quick understanding of how it would be used. If I have the knife in reverse grip, now I can use this to block and trap and parry to open my opponent up for the kill shot, if you will, with the tomahawk. So if that punch is coming towards my face, I can get it out of the way. I can trap it, block the arm and trap it, and pull it out of the way, and pull my opponent over this way, opening him up from the attack with the tomahawk. Okay? So that's a little bit of the practical applications for fighting. So let's get on to the other part. Okay, so the next question then is, what do I look for in a knife? Honestly, the thing is, the answer to that question is, what am I doing with it? If I'm looking for a neck knife for someone such as my wife, she's a smaller stature person, so she does not have the strength that I do inherently. Therefore, she's not going to be able to carry a much more, she's not going to be able to carry the weight that I am just comfortably. So that's why I gave her the neck knife like this. This is a CKRT Fultz Minimalist. It's a Warncliffe blade, 20 bucks. It's very comfortable in the hand, but it's so light that you can have it around your neck, and I don't know, maybe it can't be much more than an ounce or two. But it's, you put this around your neck, and actually the paracord itself is actually probably about the same weight as the actual blade. I mean, it's that light. This could be used for self-defense. I'm not going to say it can't, but it would not be something that I would be willing to take into combat as a combat knife, obviously. But for standard utilitarian tasks, granted last-ditch self-defense if you had to, but pretty much that's about all you would want it for, is utility tasks and stuff like that. But that's generally the level that you'll find a neck knife in, is general utility, sometimes self-defense. When you start talking about neck knives for self-defense, that's when you start getting into the bigger ones, and that's what this double agent 1 is, the karambit blade. This is what I carry for my neck knife. It has a 3-inch blade, so it's more substantial, but it also can be used like a karambit for self-defense. I might just show a little bit of how to use a karambit in self-defense, but trust me, it may be only a 3-inch blade, but it'll surprise you what I can do with it. So then when we go next into other blades, so when you're looking for a neck knife, you're looking for something that's light and something that's easily carried, and has the ability to do general utility tasks, because that's primarily what it's going to be there for. But you also want that extra edge of self-defense. For me personally, I want to have that extra edge, and I have that with my karambit style, whereas I would have less of that with this style. So there you go. Alright, so the next thing of what I'm looking for in a knife, I'm just going to whip out the multi-tool, SOG Power Assist. What I'm looking for in the knife here is I'm looking for a knife that's not so much robust as much as it's got a very sharp, keen edge, and I'm wanting something that's got something that's, I want it to be easily sharpened, and I want it to be easily and quickly deployable. Okay, so, and with this one I've got a bonus of having 2 edges, 2 blades, so that is a bonus. So with any multi-tool, I'm looking for function, and I'm also looking for robustness of make, so that, you know, if I'm cranking on something, I don't have to worry about it. So we'll get into this multi-tool later. I'll be doing a review on it later, but it's just something that I've got to do. Alright, so when I'm looking at folders, I'm looking at large folders, and here's where I go. I've got my Cold Steel Voyager Vigero. This is a double XL, or this is the this is the XL. It's the biggest one that they have right now, current production, and it's got like a 5.5-inch blade. It's not bad for that. What I like about it is that it's great for self-defense. It would be a good knife for self-defense. It also flows very well with the knife movements that I'm working on with Kali and everything. It works very well. It has that triad lock, so it's got a good strong locking mechanism. I'm pretty sure you guys can hear that. I've modified the tension on the pin a little bit, so it'll just do that for me. I kind of have to be careful because my ceiling is right here. I mean, like literally my tip of my blade's touching the ceiling right here. So I have to be careful on how I'm doing that, but you know, you can hear it lock up, and it's a good strong lock. Is it a go-to lock for bushcraft and for in the woods? Yeah, if I had to depend on a folder for my bushcraft knife, and if I had no other option, which I do, but if I had to use a folder, it would be one of these with a triad lock, because the folder, the locking mechanism on these, in my mind, is superior to anything that I've seen on the market. And this is my Tonto blade. Once again, 5.5 inches. It's a good size Tonto folder. It's up to the challenge. These folders are more of a self-defense standpoint for me. Self-defense slash combat knife, if you want to put it there. In my continuum of defense, it would go shotgun, Glock 21, Taurus PT 145, my ultimate knife and hawk that I just demonstrated at the beginning of this video, and then it would flow to these. And then, God forbid if it would continue to go further down, but primarily that would be where I would go. Okay, so let's go into fixed blades and semi-fixed blades. Reason why I say semi-fixed blades, you'll see that in a minute. Okay, fixed blade. Bad Blood, Raiju. It's about a 3.5 to 4 inch blade. That's not what's impressive about it. What's impressive about it is that it takes an edge like crazy, and the cutting potential of this with this triangular design that they have with the blade, man, it's just awesome. And if you, I don't know if you've seen my EDC video, but I can attach this to my belt on the left hand side, and I can literally have this out and in my opponent before they even realize what the heck just happened. And that's the other part of self-defense, is you want to have the ability to have overwhelming, you want to be able to bring overwhelming power to bear in as little bit of time as possible. So you do not want to give your opponent a chance to adjust to what you're bringing to bear. Otherwise, you will lose the confrontation. I go into that in my channel a little bit if this is the first exposure to me that you've had. So, anyway. The next thing is I have a knife that I made out of a sword. I've detailed this and cataloged this in a long to short video. That's the title of it, From Long to Short. And basically, I took a straight ninja toe, or a straight katana, and chopped a little bit of it off and turned it into a 6-inch knife. Great thing about this is that it's a solid staying, it's solid steel construction. The handle is just wrapped on there using a piece of rawhide shoestring. Okay, I have oiled it quite a bit with Fix and Wax, which is a product that Dave Canberry sells. Basically what it is it's a mixture of beeswax and tallow and vitamin E. It's good as a protectant or a packing grease for sure, for your knife, so I don't have to worry about it rusting. There is no doubt that this would be a good starting bushcraft knife, in that it is very robust and it will not break, it will not bend, it will not, you know, it's the edge holding ability is pretty good. I can use it to baton with, etc. and so forth. It's a good basic knife. The problem is that with the handle, it can be downright painful to use over time. So it's something that's great to have in your pack as a backup knife, but as a knife to use day in, day out, and as a go-to knife, not so much. But it does have the ability as a backup, and it's a good one, so, for what it is. Okay, here's the next one. Yeah, I know I'm going to get a few funny looks for it. The SOG Revolver. Now, this is one of those semi-fixed blades. Why do I call it a semi-fixed blade? Well, because it is a fixed blade, but it just rotates around this pivot, and this hole here, there's a pin and a button right here, and if you push that button, that pin moves up, and now you can switch your blade from either saw to knife. Okay, I did a review on this too. Surprisingly, with the pin and with the 2-pin construction, it's not bad for durability. Is it something that I would consider a one-tool option, or the one knife that I would have attached to my belt? No, not really. On the other hand, for a simple knife to skin something out with, or something like that, this would not be a bad option. And for a small saw, it works extremely well, as long as, of course, you understand its limitations. But for what it is, it's not bad. It's not bad. Is it something that I would choose this over a full tang blade? No. No, I'd choose a full tang over this for durability. But that's because with the full tang blade, I don't have much of an issue in the back of my head of batoning with it. Whereas with this, I would not want to baton with this because there's really nothing holding it together. On the other hand, if the handle does break in the field, I'm sure that I could modify the blade to where, yeah, I could probably make something that would allow me to use either the blade or the saw as I needed or saw fit. But be that as it may, I'd much rather just have it. It's not something that's not worth the weight, but because it is very light, so it's worth the weight in that it's a small saw, but it's also, it's one of those things where it'd be a great trade item. If nothing else, it'd be a great trade item because of the cool factor. The next thing is I've got a very cheap I believe I bought this for $15 about 4 years ago. It's a Winchester knife, Winchester blade. It was made, basically what they did is CKRT made these knives, and the thing is that Winchester, CKRT had a whole stockpile of knives like this that they had made that for one reason or another just weren't selling, and Winchester said that, hey, we'll buy the lot off of you, but we have to be able to put our name on it. And CKRT said, sure, why not? So it is a CKRT knife, but it just has Winchester on the blade. That's all. So I have beaten the crap out of this thing. Like I said, I bought it 4 years ago. Well, probably 5, maybe even 6, probably 6, something like that. I can't remember. But this was actually one of my first bushcrafting knives, and I beat the heck out of this thing. I've batoned with it, I've split boards with it, I've split wood with it, I've thrown it at trees, I've thrown it at just about everything. I mean, you can even look at the handle. I've split some of the handle off right there because I was pounding on a lock with it because I didn't have a hammer on me, which is actually what gave birth to the idea of having a hammer pommel on this knife so that I could do that and not have to worry about splitting the handle. But yeah, so anyway, that's how I got with this one. What's great about this? What's great about it is that it is a full tang blade. You can see that all the way around. You know, no doubt, full tang. What I like about it, it does hold a decent edge. Now, does it get razor sharp? No, but it does hold a decent edge. For bushcrafting, it's about every bit of the length that you would need. For skinning, it does great. For all general knife purposes, it does great. Problem is that because the handle is it's just too small for me. So for me, it's kind of, well, it's almost uncomfortable. Not as uncomfortable as the rawhide wrap, but it's still not very comfortable. So there we go. Alright, so now that you've gone through the other fodder here, let's talk about this. Alright, this is the one that I have BushcraftMyWay make for me. This is why I call this the ultimate knife. It has all the great things of all the knives that I just showed you rolled into one. And rolled into a long blade. Okay? So this is great for self-defense. It's great for everything that I would need it for. And I can just pretty much beat the holy heck out of this thing. And I have. And it will hold up. End of story. I've thrown this at just about everything in my environment. And it held up. I don't know what else you can say about that. On the sheath, I have a survival kit. It's important to me that you have a survival kit on your knife sheath, because if you lose your pack, your survival kit is what's going to save your bacon until you can get other materials. Okay? So that's why I have extra cordage just dripping off the sheath. Okay? That's also why I have everything on it that I have. I'm not going to get into all that because I've already done that in a review that I made specifically for this knife, but it helps for you to understand where my mind is coming from and what tools and what equipment that I have that I can use to show you what's important in a knife. Okay? Now, with self-defense knives, you know, if we go into other forms, of course there's other things that are needed, but in general, this is what you need in a knife. So give me a second, we'll get into the karambit. So let's look at the use of a karambit, and I'm just going to go off of a very basic stab to the face or punch to the face. Understand that a knife attack is much the same as an attack with bare hands. It's just there's the extra added exclamation point of that being the knife. So understanding that, there's two ways of gripping. Primarily, you can use the standard grip, or you can use the reverse grip. A lot of the time when you're using a karambit, if you actually know what you're doing with it, a lot of the time you're going to be doing a reverse grip. So with this, I'm just going to grab my sheath, okay? Even if this is under my shirt, I'm just going to grab the sheath. I'm going to take my right hand, I'm going to put my right index finger through that bottom hole, and then I'm going to use my thumb to actuate this button on the bottom of the sheath. Now, in a self-defense situation, yes, I can pull straight out, okay? I can do that. It's not that hard to do that if you have your other hand right here on the sheath, okay? But for the beginners, you're going to want to use your thumb to actuate that button so that you just have that extra added ability, okay? So now when you draw your knife, it's going to come down and it's going to be like this, okay? This is what gives you added length, okay? So yes, it's a 3-inch blade, but with the added length, it's essentially the same as a 5-inch blade, okay? See how that works? Anyway, I'm going to pop it back into my hand. Now understand, flipping here, we're going to come from here, and I'm just going to open my thumb. I'm just going to bring it straight back, okay? There's a bunch of videos on flipping. I'm not going to get into that per se at this point. So I'm standing here, and I have my karambit in my hand, okay? My opponent throws the punch. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to deflect that punch or that stab by getting a hold of that arm, touching that arm, smacking that arm out of the way, okay? As soon as I do that, I'm stepping off the line of attack with my left foot, okay? So my foot is literally doing this. See? It is not this. It is this. See the difference? Okay. Now, as soon as my left foot does that, alright, I'm going to do this, okay? I'm blocking the arm off the way. Now I'm bringing my weapon hand up under and in front of my empty hand. And now I'm going to catch that arm using this space that's created between my arm and the back edge of that karambit, okay? So it's one, okay? Now incidentally, if the back edge of my karambit is sharpened, it's going to skin his arm, obviously. So it's one, okay? Alright, so now I'm on the outside, okay? His arm is here. His arm is here, okay? There's nothing he can do to attack me further at this point. I have to finish this attack though. Because if I simply let him go at this point, he's going to attack me again. I do not want that, okay? So, I've got him pulled offline. I'm in a good position now, alright? I am in his blind spot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let go with these 3 fingers, and I'm going to flip the karambit out this way. See how that happened? So boom, this. I let go with these 3 fingers, flipped it back. It's going to rest on my middle finger right there. And I'm going to lock it down. Okay? So once again, the whole movement. 1, 2. Now, I'm going to bring this curve to the inside, and I can cut his cheek, also known as neck. Alright, so again, 1, cut, flip it back, come back, cut again, okay? Now how does this work? Let's look at how this works. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So, let me slow that down. When that punch comes in, I'm blocking it out of the way, stepping out of the way. 1, opening, cutting, bringing it back, coming this way, following that circular motion, and then cutting back. Okay? Now I can continue if I choose to. And that leads me to the next point about a karambit. If you're going to stab with a karambit, you're going to stab this way. Okay? You will not be stabbing this way. Okay? Because the point is up here. You want to stab this way, not this way. Okay? Alright. So anyway, that's a real quick tutorial on how to use a karambit. You can also use it to trap and hook other things. It can be used to trap and hook all sorts of things. Look it up on YouTube. You can find all kinds of things. But this just gives you a little bit of a teaser and a little bit to get your feet wet, so that you understand when it comes to a knife, it's not just the fact that it's a tool. It's not just that it's a way for me to defend my home and my family. It's not just that. It's a part of me. It's not everything that I am, everything that I have learned, I can sum up in a knife. It's just the way it is. A knife can be used for good or it can be used for evil. It's all about the intent of the person. A knife is a tool. A knife, effectively used, should be a part of you, and you a part of it. And until that has happened, you won't know what it's truly like to have a knife and to understand a knife. And that, and to those of us who have, that's why us knife nuts are knife nuts. That's just why. So anyway, thanks guys. Sorry for taking you so long.